Spring practice is rolling in Tallahassee. Florida State football talk here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Of course, we got the boys on the line. Somebody missing, though. Anyway, Logan Robinson, no game day. And, of course, big game, James Coleman, fifth quarter college football. How we doing tonight?
Doing fantastic, Mark. Beautiful night.
Something's different, and I really can't put my finger on it. It might take me an hour to do that. I'll keep thinking. Something different here tonight.
Something's happened.
Missing. I don't know.
It feels like something weird is happening, but we'll figure it out. I didn't know what to say right after you asked us how are you doing, because usually there's someone else that
jumps right in. Yeah,
takes it. But
Mr. Perfect, Mr. Perfect record.
Mr. Perfect seems to be no longer perfect no more.
That's right.
Yikes.
All right. I want to remind everyone, leave your comments, your questions, your debate topics there in the live chat. I will pick them off and serve them up to our experts, and I may even have something to say.
Oh.
Spring practice, James. Let's start with you because you've been through the grind. What was spring practice like? I know you didn't look forward to it. Maybe partially looked forward to it. And maybe how has it changed?
My freshman year, that first spring, I was like, yes, I want to get out here. I want to be able to compete. Then you get the job, and then you're just like, this is just like, you got freshmen that don't know what they're doing, that are messing up stuff. And I had my sophomore year, I had labrum surgery, so I missed the entire spring. And then my junior year, I already knew I was starting. I mean, my junior going into my senior year, I already knew I was starting. I had the job, so like it was just like, all right, let's get these 15 practices out the way. It's actually for us, it was a break because mat drills was so bad, like that we looked forward to spring ball, and so that was kind of the thing that solidified and separated it for us. And then it's really, you get tired of hitting the same people, but for these guys now, everything is still new. So this is basically spring ball all over again. You hope that the world doesn't shut down again after this week, because then it'd be deja vu all over again. Because you only got 2 days of shorts last time, and you had to people basically made a lot of assumptions off of 2 days of shorts until you got to fall camp. This would be the first time that everybody was complaining about and clamoring about. Your coaches get 15, really 4 weeks to be able to look at you and say, hey, this guy can do what I need him to do and what's necessary. So all the way up until you get your basically your kindergarten graduation or your recital, which is the spring game. Like the spring, people, I get it. It's the coaches would never say this. They'll never say this, and media would never admit this, even though a lot of them have been covering this for a long time. Nobody knows anything from a spring game. If you took the spring game for you to decide a job, you did a poor job of coaching. The jobs are decided within the earlier weeks of practice that none of us really get a chance to go see. I'm going to try to see if I can't pull that former player card and go like look at one, but I'm also not pressed. But it should be good. It's just good to get guys moving. I know they're all looking forward to this because they didn't have this last year, so this is the newness.
Yep, we're finally here, Mark. We finally got to get to talk about actually practices happening. I'm all for it. I know there's a lot of things, a lot of answers that need to be figured out, and they're not going to be figured out this spring. Fall camp will give it us, but we'll get a hint at a few players, some early enrollees, the youngins coming in, the transfers from different universities, and obviously Mackenzie Milton. How actual healthy is he? We've heard that he's 100% good to go. And Norvell talked about in the opening press conference to start off the spring that they're going to let him loose. So there's a lot of question marks heading into this spring. Florida State last year didn't have a spring to work with. Mike Norvell was doing most of these meetings on Zooms, probably not as good as they could have been whenever you're being face-to-face with your players. But this is a second kind of go-around of, you're doing your COVID-19 testing. I don't know how strict that is right now and what they're doing, but you're actually set on a schedule now, which Florida State didn't have last year.
Mackenzie Milton's a quarterback. So when they say we're going to cut him loose, he's with everybody else, we're letting him go, but there's still conditions on that. Of course, he's a quarterback. They're not going to hit him.
Right. Yeah, that, and then they're not even going to stress them. If they do, it's just foolish. Like, but then again, like a lot of that stuff we won't get to see, and it'll be limited release things, like video that they did basically in fall camp that everybody will get repackaged and make it look like their own or whatever. Because again, media is only really allowed the first, what is it, 10, 15, basically the warm up drills for the most part of practice, and none of that really shows you anything. But you saw a clip of him basically doing the basic drop back, pat the ball, throw, pat and goes is what they call it. And you know, I mean, it didn't look bad, but some things that were released by these players, which I get why they want to do it, but if I'm one of the coaches, I'm personally going to say, hey, could you please stop screen capturing our 7-on-7 drills and our things? We know you're excited to let people see what you're doing, but right now we got to keep some of this stuff a secret, because while it might make you look good, it creates way more questions than it does answers. So Jerry and I think it was Jerry. No, not Jerry and Jones. Maybe it was
Jarian had it. Yeah. Jarian had his interception out there.
No,
hey, I get the content though. I admit they gotta quit it. They gotta give it to me. Hey, if they're gonna give it to somebody, give it to me, and I'll put it out there for them. But yeah, I think they should not. I think they should kind of relax on maybe posting on their stories so much.
But it was a kid who put out. It wasn't an interception. It was just coverage. It was really good coverage. And what I saw from it, what I saw from it, it was good coverage. But what I saw from it was a water pistol. So basically, we're trying to throw an out route. And I say water pistol because when you're throwing that out route, that ball's got to be on the zip. You got to be – actually, it's funny because I got a 7-year-old that thinks he's a quarterback because he's been playing Madden. So I'm teaching him about how to throw routes and how it's supposed to be. And that's really one of those routes where that ball got to have zip on it, especially when your guy gets a break between you and the sideline. Because if it's not, then that DB is going to be able to jump to get an interception. And when I'm watching it, I'm like, I would have left that off. I get what he was trying to show, but I would have left that off. So, but then I think JJ, the new DN from Georgia, had a great win in one-on-one pass rush. The problem is he made our tackle look so bad that it's just, again, it's the you got all that from a 2-second clip that we had a few weeks ago. Like, it's basically you're accidentally doing that, but it's the first day of practice. But it's all good. It's the excitement is really, really dope. And I think the excitement with McKenzie Milton will give enough coverage and content for people for this entire spring.
You know, James, when only 10 or 15% are minutes of the initial practice is open to the media, then we compare that to what the access is to NFL training camps, where they let thousands of fans in, you watch the whole thing. Like, what, having covered the NFL now versus what you experienced in college and covering the college game as well, what is the philosophy there in the NFL that we're going to hold our sessions and let everybody watch them?
Well, the NFL is like, every session is not live for the public and for the fans.
Sure,
and
a lot.
And we've had that the last 4 years. Matter of fact, the first 2 practices last year were open to the public. I remember they encouraged a lot of the coaches to come out, and you saw a lot of people come. But then, like I said, the world shut down. So Mike will probably, if they allow, it's really more so the university policy right now. But there are practices in the NFL where let me rephrase that. Media, we always get access. Like, we always get access, but we're even then we'll be relegated to a certain part of the field. So like when they really, really want to do some stuff that they don't want us to see, they'll go to field 3. And we're sitting there, and unless you got like that iPhone 75 with the hyper zoom, like you're not being able to see that very well. And then they have practices where they close. Bobby used to do that. Bobby, because man, now the practice field is so much different than it was when I played. But
they don't have the oak tree. They don't got the oak tree out there no more. They don't have
the oak tree. There was a little piece of slab right in front of the outdoor training room that the media could stand on. And like you could see field 1 if you were deep down on field 2, you couldn't see anything. Field 3, they couldn't see a darn thing. And I remember those guys would be roped in, and they'll just a lot of the guys that everybody knows now, like Ira, Chris Nee, a lot of what's .com's name? Anyways, whatever.
Gene.
They will all be right there roped in and couldn't see anything. But it's NFL too. It's 32 teams. Like, I hate to be long with it, but like once you put that stuff on film, like they know what you're gonna do. They're breaking down every aspect of everything in the NFL. In college, not so much because you don't have everybody doesn't have the personnel to be able to do it. Right now, you want Notre Dame to be questionable about McKenzie Milton and Jordan Travis. If you're going in there and a fan goes in and sees McKenzie look like the 2-second clip from the fifth quarter drill, whatever the hell they call it, tour duty. That's what it's called, right? Tour duty.
Mm-hmm.
And without any context to it, again, that's the problem. Is there's no context to it. So like if it's late in practice, it's a hot day, or it's a super cold day, because that's what happens in spring in Tallahassee. It could be 85 degrees, or it could be 55 degrees, which is Florida cold. And
Super cold.
His knee is stiff. He couldn't get out the blocks that day. It looked like he got gum on his shoe. And now everybody's like, all right, well, we ain't worried about him. You don't want to see any setbacks. I think that's the real rationale behind it.
I was having a good old time a few minutes ago, right before the show, taking a little hike in 55-degree weather.
Nice. It's not too bad. It's nice. And what is it? It's
blue skies. Beautiful.
Yeah.
A little crisp, but not too bad for early March in Connecticut. Got James Coleman, of course, on the line from Fifth Quarter College Football. Big Game James, Logan Robinson right there in the middle from Knoll Game Day. And Logan's going to be talking it up with one MJ Morris here tonight, right, Logan? So we're talking about one of the top quarterback prospects in the country out of Georgia.
Yep. We'll be having him on our show later this evening on Hear the Spear, a guy that, it's really a mix of 3 guys right now, I think, for Florida State. Obviously, one of them is already committed with Nico Marchiol. You've got MJ Morris, and then you've also got Duffy, too, AJ Duffy. So right now, Florida State is Killian Dillingham's kind of in his bag right now. I know MJ Morris recently told 247 Sports that he's naming Florida State as his leader. So I'm interested in talking with him tonight and asking, why is Florida State up there? Florida State went 3-6 last season. What's your belief in Mike Norvell, Kenny Dillingham, and which recruits are talking to you? There's a lot of things I've listed to ask him, but this is a guy who's a number 4 dual threat quarterback in the country in the 2022 class. He's 6'1", 175. And this is big. This is big if Florida State is able to go here and grab this guy, because there's a lot of big time schools after him, some big time schools. But Florida State right now, like you said, is in the lead to land him, and that would mean you'd be bringing in, which we were talking about a couple weeks ago, that we do expect Florida State to bring in 2 quarterbacks. Who are they going to be? But Nico Marchiol is right here, but that MJ Morris is just on a different tier, being the number 4 quarterback in the country in the dual threat position. So it'll be interesting to hear his thoughts tonight.
You may not want to bring up 3-6 too many times, Logan. You may not want to keep emphasizing that. It may start to sink in what he's getting himself into.
I'm doing it for Jason's not here to tell me about Mike Norvell and the bad things about Mike Norvell. So now I'm free reign tonight. I'm free reign.
Man.
There you are. James, have you had a chance to know anything about this guy, MJ Morris?
Yeah. MJ Morris is nice. I and I have the benefit with radio being my radio partner being a guy named Denny Thompson, who runs a quarterback academy, 6 Points, which is one of the premier academies here in the Southeast, as well as knowing a guy Quincy Avery, who's out of the Atlanta area. So like I joke with people, say like, man, I don't know anything about quarterbacks. When people bring quarterbacks to me, I say, hey, Denny, hey, Quincy, what are these guys like? Are they any good? And then they come and they say, hey, this kid is good for this, where he needs to be at. Or really they don't, because they don't have a dog in the fight. They just lay out and say, hey, here are the pros, here are the cons. yeah, this kid is legit. Yeah, this kid. There's only two guys that I've ever heard. They just give three. They give straight glowing remarks on, and those guys could possibly be number one and number two in the NFL draft coming up here. And that's Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields. Now, Denny did. He saw Sam Howell at an Elite 11 camp. Thought he was trash. But it was cold. It had just snowed or something like that. It was just really bad weather. So he was like, "Hey, it could have just been a bad day." Then he watched this film live on air and was like, "Holy crap! This kid might be kind of special." But he liked Nico. But he did say MJ Morris has, some tools that could get him on the field a little bit quicker in his athleticism and some of those things. But both of them have flaws. But I think he liked Duffy, if I remember correctly. Duffy was that guy. But I think if Duffy or Morris comes in, those are your guys that could quickly become QB1s. But I think Nico brings in this attitude of a competitor, which is what you want. And it can actually be, if I want to take Florida State fans to a blast in the past, it could be a situation of Xavier Lee and Drew Weatherford, where Xavier Lee was the higher rated quarterback, but Drew Weatherford was that competitor, that guy who just did what quarterbacks are supposed to do. Like, I don't really know how to describe it to you. Zay did stuff like that I've never seen, but that I had never seen before at that time. Like Zay could throw a football out the back of the end zone from your 25-yard line on a knee. Like, so it was just crazy. And if he could basically throw 110 yards. He could stand on the goal line and throw it out the back of the end zone. That all without holding the laces. He palmed the back of a football. It was just weird. It was a weird throwing mechanic. Don't know what Thad Busby was teaching him down there at Daytona back in the day. But great quarterback. So I think those are the things that you want. And bigger than that, you got guys who are mouthpieces, who are connected. So you add these guys with some of these other lightning rods, like that's really the momentum that's been going on. You don't have to sell every recruit on yourself. You got to sell the 3 to 4 mouthpieces, your alphas, and let them recruit your recruiting class for you. And then I think Dilly's done a really good job of relaying that message to the quarterbacks. Mike's done a really good job of backing that up, but also to a couple other key recruits. And I think that's why you see the momentum that FSU's having out with the 3-6 season, because it doesn't make any sense that Florida State's recruiting class should be as good.
So, James, outside the athleticism and the skill set, the throwing ability, all that, when you said something about, when the guy just has something, and I don't really know what it is, are you talking about being in the huddle and knowing that this guy is unflappable, he's in command, he's confident, all that?
Yeah, that, and then just like, it's the little things. Like Drew, like, this isn't like, I'm not trying to say anything, because I think Zay was an awesome teammate, awesome guy. Man, I had some of the same struggles that he had too. I didn't go to class when I was there, but I took care of the classroom. I also had my starting job. Like, I knew I wasn't gonna get beat out. So Drew, but Drew was at every class. Drew was at every meeting early, dressed. Drew could tell you exactly what everybody was doing on the field. It was, and Zay was just you could tell he was just a much better athlete. And I can't tell you that MJ more about, because I don't know enough about it. I just saw what I'm seeing on this. And once he commits, or if he commits, then I can maybe get to know him a little bit more, invest more time as people ask me more questions, talk to some people up in that Georgia area that they know a little bit more about the kid. I see what I see with Nico, because Nico was one of the first to pop. Nico's been up there a couple of times. A lot of people know Nico. And then the minute that Nico committed, you saw the entire recruiting world start commenting on it.
We talk Florida State football here every Wednesday night at 6 o'clock Eastern time. Lock it in right here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. You subscribe, you hit the bell for the notifications. You're all set to know when we go live, when we drop new content. Logan's been joining me to break down positional groups, posted the running backs today. So be looking out for the defense and the offensive line coming up here in the next week. Logan, don't know if you've had enough time to look at this, but we got a question coming in looking at offensive line, just who can we expect to be where, if you've got any kind of feel of any of those offensive line spots that are nailed down?
I think the ones nailed down Start off with Devontae Love Taylor. I think he's still, one James will agree is that he's a guy that coming in last year, I think was the most talented there. I think also Dante Lucas is going to solidify his spot. The biggest thing for him is just his mental game, being 100% locked in. I can just not going to go off of tweets and everything, but it seems like he and Norvell and Atkins are now finally on that same page. I know Dante was talking about, he was putting out some tweets of Mike Norvell and quoting him on a few things. And it's good to see that because it seemed like they were in some kind of disconnect all last season, things that during games where he would be dressed and not see the field. There's just too much stuff, I think, going on and inside the more, and it seems like things are fixed. So I think Dante Lucas is a lock. And I think also Maurice Smith had a pretty impressive season for Maurice Smith. He was impressive and kind of came out of nowhere last year. I think another year, another actual true spring, and you get a fall camp for him under Coach Atkins, who I think has by far been the best hire for Mike Norvell. I think those three right now are practically solidified. I think there's going to be some moving around, and Atkins is going to try a few things and move some dudes around this spring and see where they fit best. But that's why you have a spring. This is where you kind of do your testing and see how they do. And then you get to the spring game and see if that actually works or not. And you look back at film. So I think right now those three guys have got their spot on lockdown, unless I'm missing anybody. I don't think I am, at least in regards to nailing their positions down.
No, I agree with you. I think if you will see some different combinations, but from what I was just having some conversations with people that, hear other things. It's really the two positions that Coach Atkins really needs. That's that center and that's that left tackle. I know they believe Maurice Smith eventually, when it's all said and done, could be an NFL center, and obviously the left tackle, that's a guy who could have went. He could have left instead of coming to Florida State. He was pretty good but he came to obviously increase his chances. But you got guys like Brady Scott who were freshman All-American, who, even though I think he was the guy who got cooked on the film, but he's still young. He'll grow into that position. The biggest thing is that you got people healthy. One of the things that Florida State hasn't had and yes, I'm not going to be the guy that's going to cap and pretend like the offensive line is overhauled and it's there. But what I will say is, for the first spring in a long time, is you got a ton of guys who got experience and guys who don't have little nagging injuries, and you can actually go and compete. And what has to happen over the next few years in general is Florida State's recruiting strategies and the competition strategies have to be different, because you haven't really had the opportunity to let the cream rise to the top because everybody was hurt. If you think like last year, and even I believe Tag's first year, where you had to go half lines because everybody was down. From what I'm understanding, is most people are recovered, and everybody feels confident coming back off of an off season or a winter conditioning camp with Coach Storms, where everybody was in-house and getting after it. So, but I do think as long as that center and that left tackle stay the same, everything else you roll around. But Dante Lucas, if you made me say, it'll be Dante Lucas, Bavion will be like the other guard, and probably Brady Scott.
Mm-hmm. DJ Lundy had 12 tackles last year, got in on a half a sack in his freshman season of 2020. The Real Big Lee asking basically what's expected of Lundy this year.
More playing time. There's going to be a lot of playing time. He had more than I think a lot of us were expecting, because let's be honest, we were thinking we'd see more Deloach and McCray, but that wasn't the case for more than about a game or so. DJ Lundy and Steven Dix Jr. were running the most of the burn behind Emmett Rice. Of course, you had Leonard Warner out there and Gainer. But there's going to be a lot of burn for Lundy. I think he's getting in better shape too. There was some things. Most certainly, he's probably going to be your biggest, most, I guess you could say, physical. But there's still Steven Dix and Emmett Rice there. You got three physical cats, but Lundy's more of your heavy set. Dude was practically like all state wrestling guys, so he knows what he's doing physical wise. He's just more of getting down the schemes of everything. His biggest thing was that being out in coverage, understanding where he needs to be, and that's understandable. You went through no spring, you went through no fall or like an actual fall camp. It's your first season, everything's all over the place. The spring is going to be huge for this linebacker group, but DJ Lundy is going to be out there a lot this upcoming season. I'm expecting him to get a lot of burn in every game because of how much Chris Marv threw him out there. He wasn't just going to throw he wasn't just going to throw DJ Lundy out there just to have fun in games and play and just do jumping jacks the whole time. He's out there to actually get some burn, so then get some experience. So whenever they get down and they're playing against Notre Dame, it's just not going to be a wake up call for him. He's going to be asked to be put in certain packages, and Lundy, I think, has a bright future for getting a lot of playing time in the next 2 years.
If you name a team that's in the top 25 to 50 in the nation, I bet we've covered them here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, in the last 2 weeks. We were talking all sorts of teams, bringing in all sorts of folks like Logan to break down positions, get us set for spring football all over the country. So lock it in. All right, Logan, you take the stage. It's your time.
We're past 6:30. We're
your time.
Time flies by when you're having fun on here. So make sure everybody's hitting that like button. As James always says, to make sure you hit that bell on there, because actually you'll get notified whenever you release a new episode over here, or whenever we actually go live too. But subscribe over here. I think congrats to Mark too. Over 25,000 subscribers now.
Nice.
Okay.
We're
talking. Now we're talking. But yeah, more likes, more comments in the chats, more shares with friends and family will help keep growing the channel, because we do this practically every week. We've been doing it. What number is this? 96. We're getting close.
You're almost perfect, Logan. You're almost perfect.
Am I right there with James? Am I right there with Jason?
Now, nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect.
So now we're all just not perfect.
Yeah, James is really not perfect.
Yeah, I'm an F student right now.
Attendance grading.
I'm guessing James is in the 60 range, 65 out of 96, something in that range. Maybe we'll give him a D.
I think so.
James a D. I think I've missed 3 myself. So Jason was way ahead of me now.
It goes in phases. Yeah, it goes in phases. James starts off usually in the car. Now he's in bed. There's different scenery that we have.
We take him however we can get him. We love the
only place in my house that's quiet. It's the only place in my house that's quiet right now. So
I was about to say,
my 2-year-old is learning. Is actually being vocal now. He's talking, so he eats dinner, and then I don't know where my 7-year-old. He's probably destroying the neighborhood, kicking over somebody's trash can or something right now.
That's great. We got the super chat open, folks, as well, and also that we would love to get this show sponsored. So hit me up at MarkRogersTV@gmail.com. Folks in the live chat are giving up on this defense. Like Milton and the offense got to light it up, because Adam Fuller's defense is. Can we just give up on the defense this year? Really?
I mean, my thing is this, and I've been consistent. For whatever reason, people think I will critique. I'm not mad at anybody. I don't dislike anybody. The only thing I dislike is 3 and 6. The only 3 and 6 I like looking at is when I look at my home office and I look at my jersey. It's the only 3 and 6 that I like. Outside of that, I never want to see those numbers together unless it's 36,000 or something like that. Our offense only accomplished 21 over 3 offensive scores. 3 offensive scores in 2 games. In a lot of the games where people said the offense showed a flash, you can't just say the offense showed a flash without giving the defense props. That's the Notre Dame game. That's the North Carolina game. You can see what it can be when they have confidence. They don't have the confidence, and there was a lot of thinking getting involved in. They just really got to just shore it up. They didn't know what to do with an Amari Gainer with the defenses that they were facing. They did not really know what to do with Travis J. Akeem Dent was hurt for most of the year. He had his ankle injury and never really got that rehab properly. Hopefully he's healthy this time. You've got some more talent that's coming in that didn't get a chance to play last year. And you just hope that all of this stuff kind of connects the dots. And you could not get to the quarterback. It doesn't matter who your defense is. When you don't have, I think what did we have? 5 rushes? I mean, 5 sacks? It was something stupid. The little sacks that we had made no sense. So having more guys coming from the pass rush, hopefully that will help. But I think, Fuller's a smart guy. Fuller's a guy that Mike Norvell wanted to come in. Might not have been the first choice, but was a choice that he not only brought in, but chose to stick with. So I'm just a stickler for consistency. If it was year 0 for Mike Norvell, Kenny Dillingham in the offense, then we have to be able to say it was year 0 for Coach Fuller and the defense, and you have to be able to see what a full offseason, what a full thing would be, even though there's tons of questions that I have on the defense. Just from a guy who attacked from an offensive mindset, attacking defense. But there's also a ton of questions that I have from the offense. But there is one kind of wild card that I had, even though I ain't seen him in a minute. But my barber here in Jacksonville cuts the hair of a couple kids who played at Memphis. And the one thing that they said was what they saw when they watched Florida State, that wasn't what they did at Memphis. So I am going to hope that that's the case, that they came in and they felt like they had to make some major tweaks in order to make it go.
Yeah. That defense, we harped on it this whole, last season, James. We talked about how irritated we were with where Amari Gainer was being used. I mean, it was embarrassing at some points. I mean, some points you would really want to see him for most of the game, except for end zone packages. That's where I'm hopeful this spring will help. A fall camp that's not just craziness that a pandemic's happening. I think a lot of things are going to be settled down where it's going to help figure out Adam Fuller where to set these guys at. And there was still some things where it's not all Adam Fuller's fault. There's guys where they're put in the right position, but they're not making plays. They're dropping interceptions. They got interceptions, which should be brought back for pick sixes, but you're running into the dadgum, my boy Asante Samuel's running into the tacklers. He did that twice. But the thing too, we headed into it seemed like heading into the season, we didn't know who was going to be opposite of Asante Samuel Jr. Or at least it was expectation that it was going to be Jerrion Jones. He wasn't having a great start to the season. Also was dealing with injury. Who was going to be that guy? Who was going to be opposite of Asante? Is it going to be Miko Dotson now? Now the situation is that you have 2 open spots at cornerback, which I think is the biggest question mark for this defense. Who is going to be your 2 starting cornerbacks? Is it going to be a Damori Tate who hasn't seen a crack of college ball yet, hasn't played it down? Is he going to start against Notre Dame on day 1 on that first Saturday? Is Miko Dotson, who, I think has a very high chance of being that guy. I liked how he played. I think he's got enough skills. He's obviously has a knack for getting interceptions, but I think he looked the most solid for even not having a fully healthy season either. I thought he was in the right spot at the right times, and that's what DBs do good at. So the biggest question marks right now, with Adam Fuller is really who's going to be these 2 starting cornerbacks.
At least when I'm watching the games, Amari Gainer is the best player in the field, probably on both sides of the ball, especially in the defense. And our guy Adrian 863 Seminole TV asking about Gainer playing at Mike linebacker. Good or bad?
I don't think, no, that's not him. Even watching him in high school. Now Logan would probably know a little bit more than I would, but I remember when I watched his film and they were at the highlight. When they used to do the whatever the signing day, when the actual signing day was important, they would do the show everybody's highlight film, and most of his highlights showed him bringing pressure from the backside and really just hitting a lot of quarterbacks, like really looking more like an edge rusher in a odd front. So he's really your outside type guy. A Mike linebacker would be more of your DJ Lundy, a guy who you got to have a downhill striker. That's something that FSU's defense hasn't had. And that's not saying that Gainer can't bang. It's just that I just don't think he doesn't scare me as a guy filling the hole. He scares me as a guy in space. that can make things happen, that can cover, that can get that when you need that blitz, that to bring that extra man and you got to get to the quarterback. That's where I think he's best utilized with him and Kalen DeLoach. That would be what I use those guys as guys who have speed, that aren't the biggest, but just that, but can hit you when they get to you. But they do have to identify that. But I think there's got to be packages. If you're going to put 5 DBs on the field, then you better put. Then I'd rather fail with Amari Gainer as one of the two. If you're running that 4-2-5 look as one of those guys on the inside, fail that way. I may critique. I may get mad. I may fuss if something happens. But I'd rather see that. I'd rather see you put your best 11 on the field than trying to put the best guys that you feel match up with that situation. Because at some point, you got to realize I just need ball players out there. If I got 11 that's kind of where FSU is at right now. If I put 11 of my best ball players out there, and this is no disrespect to these schools, because there's no way that Louisville has 11 better ball players on either side of the ball than us. There's no way Wake Forest has 11. Now, if you're talking about Miami and some of these other schools, I give you that. But just 11 guys who just can ball and are instinctually intelligent. Maybe not football smart, but instinctually intelligent means that these guys just make plays. Akeem Dent, freshman year, instinctually intelligent. Unfortunately, if the football was a spear, it would have killed him. As many times as he dropped interceptions. Last year, they tried to make him more football smart, and his instincts just evaporated. But that's just what I would like to see.
Yeah, I was just going to comment real quick. I do agree with James that if you're going to put a 4-2-5 there, you'd like to have Gainer in there because he's a mix. He's kind of a hybrid. He's got the physicality that you'll need for those certain packages going down the drive. But the thing with him, though, you got to utilize his speed that he has. Yeah, you could even put him off on the edge in some ways, but you can't be using him in end zone packages, and that's just how you're going to work him throughout the game. That's just called poor game planning, in my opinion. That's just how he was used. If I'm putting a Mike right now, it'd be Lundy, like James said. I'm giving Emmett in there because he's a veteran. He's going to be calling most of the shots. And then you got your other guys on the outside, but your Mikes, I think something would be going wrong if Gainer's at Mike. I'll just say that.
James, what's it like? Not that you played on a team like this because you played on winning teams, but you were talking about Florida State having the best 11 versus a Louisville, a Wake Forest. You're kind of going mid-tier ACC is what you're looking at there. Wake Forest, especially, Louisville had a bad season just a couple of years ago, and they're coming back under Satterfield. But Wake Forest, man, Clausen, that guy can coach. He's got him at 7-8 wins every year. What must it be like for a Florida State team that's not as talented as they typically are, but still top 3-4 in the conference in terms of just flat out talent, to be on the field with a team like Wake Forest and think these guys aren't as athletic as we are. They're not as I'm covering this dude. He's not that fast, but he keeps beating me. What's going on in that type of game where one team's feeling like we're athletically better, but they're beating us, and they beat us last year?
Yeah, it happens. I like to say that's when development and coaching comes into play. Great coach, Clausen's a good coach. NC State's coach, up until the last couple of years, I was just actually said Florida should have hired him. He's a good recruiter in that level. But I think and this is the part that's always, the fans kind of don't understand because you don't have the mentality that where I'm coming from with it. At a certain point, I played it, somebody thought I was capping for him, and I think they don't quite understand what this means. I played for Jeff Bowden. I like Jeff as a person. He's a phenomenal person. He's now only been kind of unseated from the worst offensive coordinator at FSU's history spot by Walt Bell, Kendall Browse, and I hope Dillingham can get back out of that top 3. But based upon last year, I have to give Dilly that. It's no disrespect to Dilly. I like him. it's just when they called a play, and it's just we had to make the play. Just make the damn play. It doesn't matter. Like Bobby got me messed up. Again, since we got a lot of University of Miami fans, I'll tell this story. So I scored a touchdown in the 2005, the only touchdown that Florida State scored against Miami. That game, we won. I should have had two. I would have had my second one would have been a walk-in, but Bobby called the 34 belly on the goal line into where Miami had more men. Not only did Miami have more men, and I still could have scored, the guy who was supposed to be my lead blocker, he motioned the guy away. So we got two guys to block 5. That's a bad situation for anybody. No matter how bad of an ass you are, that's a bad situation. I did not cry. I did not say, oh my God, our coaches are stupid. I did not say they don't know what they're doing. I had a job to do. And Coach Bowden made $2 million a year, which was like 2.5, I think. Made him the highest paid coach, I think, in NCAA during that time. And I know I wanted to make money to be able to feed my family. So my job was to take this suicide play and do my best to be able to get into the end zone. And had I kept my feet, I would have scored. But I got blasted in the backfield by, I think it was Merriweather. And I just did a spin move, and my fight or flight instincts made me juke somebody, and my feet just gave out. But I got back to the line of scrimmage because I was never tackled for loss on any carry at FSU. And there's numerous plays that were like that. Against Wake Forest, there was a play where we called the sprint draw, which is kind of like a staple for us, 44. It was 4th and 12. It's a terrible play call, but we got 15 yards on it. It's because it didn't matter what the play call was. We just at a certain point, athletes that do this, and my high school coach said this to me when I was playing. He said, James, there's going to be times when I call plays that make absolutely no sense, but that's why I have you. He's like, your job is to make me look smart. And I think the problem is that our players are too in tune to what fans are saying. And I think my mom had a quote for that. If you're worried about what fans are saying, you'll soon become a fan. It doesn't matter if the coach is stupid. It doesn't matter if the coaches aren't saying this. You don't get caught up in that. Every play on offense is designed to score. And every play on defense is designed to stop the offense from scoring. If you run goal line defense against the spread and everybody wins their job, you can stop the spread. Now, it's not the most optimal, but it should work. And I think that's when you're looking at, I have more talent than the Wake Forest, but they have a better coach. That's a sense of pride. And I don't, like, people say, I want 3 stars with heart, and I don't believe in all that. But pride comes in from, like, not all this, we got unity. I love because we've seen the same article for the last 4 years. Never have I felt this much love. Never have I felt this much family. We getting coach, blah, blah, blah. I don't hear that. I want to see it. And when I see that these guys, 11 guys have come together and said, we're going to take over a game regardless of what's called, you can visually see it. And it's amazing. It's an amazing feeling. It's the only thing I could call it close to is when all 11 believe that. It's a glow. It's like a bully glow. Like you go out there and you know it's going to happen. So I don't know. I hope I explained that well enough.
No, that was very cool. Very cool. Z's got our best comment of the night right here by far. Use that Amazon link in the description section. Besides the Canes deal, I know you guys don't get into that. I wasn't looking at that part. I'm looking at the Amazon link. Grab that Amazon link in the description section. It's the same shopping experience, everyone. It's unbelievable. I saw a stat recently that, like, out of how many people are in America, like 340 million and maybe 250 million adults, like 60% of America is using Amazon to shop. So grab the link in the description. You do the exact same thing. It doesn't change your shopping experience. Doesn't cost you a penny. Grab the Amazon link when you shop on Amazon. Put it somewhere where you're going to remember it when you do some shopping. Logan, we got any tape?
I got some over here. I've been watching this a little bit. I'm going to try and do some homework before I get into this interview, but there's some stuff over here on the shared screen with MJ Morris. Also,
you ready for us?
I think so. I think it's sharing. Also, shout out to our Miami fans in here that are always watching. They just had a decommit happen, defensive end.
Oh, okay.
That sucks. That stings for them. But hey, I mean, I'm just giving the updates.
Do we get a
Miami
name
fans in.
so I can look him up?
Yeah, the name is Jamal Johnson. Just decommitted. They did it in the Notes app as usual. James, you know how that goes. The Notes app is one of the scariest things for Miami fans. I think even when Miami fans open up their Notes app, they're like, "Oh my god," they get freaked out a little bit, freak them out their own selves out. But it really is a tradition, unlike any other.
No, yeah, to quote TJ Pittenger, it's definitely all glory to the AGTG and the Notes app.
Yeah.
That's something I wouldn't want to see if I was a Miami fan.
No. So this is MJ Morris, Mark, just recently named Florida State his leader. Like I said, number 4 dual threat quarterback in the country. There's some tweets. You know, this is FSU Twitter. I haven't been on Twitter a lot today, but I don't know if people are being serious or not. That's why I'm trying to watch this on my own. But people are seeing a little bit of baby Deshaun Watson in here.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, just let him be. Just let the kids
FSU
be
Twitter.
Great. It was one of the freshmen wide receiver. It wasn't Bureau, was it? Anyways, they got one of the guys who was squatting heavy.
Oh yeah.
And somebody put baby Anquan Bolden. I'm like, you guys, you just don't know how disrespectful. I'm not saying he's not going to be good.
Oh yeah.
You just don't understand how disrespectful that is to Anquan Bolden. Like Anquan Bolden is the best athlete I've ever played with. Like just like he's a man.
Different animal. Yeah. And this is just a few clips. I guess you do see a little bit. I mean, maybe taking snaps as reads, but just looking at him though, obviously can make some throws. There's a few clips in here of him running, but like this ball right here.
Oh yeah,
you can give me that any day of the week. That's just why he's getting offers from Alabama, Clemson, obviously Florida State. I think this is where he runs it in here. Thanks, bye. That's kind of like makes it look a little easy, but right over the defender, the linebacker's head there.
When I watched his clips from just training, he had a little bit of that shot put motion that Chuba had.
Yeah.
But when I'm watching him right now live, his decision making is so quick and it's a lot. It just seems to get out pretty fast. So I mean, like I said, we need some talent in that quarterback room, and we need talent that's coming in to compete and rise the level on day one, because right now I can see, especially the fan base, we expect Mackenzie Milton to come in and start. You expect Jordan Travis to compete, but what happens after Mackenzie leaves this year? You still got to have something going on. So you got to hope that that whoever you missed, we don't know yet. You seemingly missed on Purdy and Tate. So now these next two, you got to have guys that come in and are ready.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, the quarterback room right now. I'm not sure if I have so much belief in it after Travis and Milton. I'll be honest. I know Purdy was dealing with an injury. It still seems like he's recovering from it, but I don't know how long it's going to take until he's fully healthy, ready to go. And you got to remember, Mike Norvell was just looking for not chump change. That makes it sound like they're terrible quarterbacks, but Mike was really trying to just find some quarterback depth with Roadmaker and Purdy. His future quarterback was going to be Luke Altmaier.
Right.
Season didn't go as planned. Altmaier got the whole Ole Miss hive and saw how many yards that homeboy was throwing there. So he's going to go hang out at Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin, that'd be fun being under Lane Kiffin. I'd do the same thing. But right now, Mike Norvell is trying to find this future quarterback number one. And, this next class is going to be huge for that. And he does want to bring competition to it. So this cat right here is a little bit different than I think what Florida State already has committed in the class. I mean, still no knock on Nico. Had a tough season last year. He was bouncing around in different schools throughout his high school career right now. But this is just a little bit different. This is This is a different level.
I mean, I'm getting lost in this film. I keep watching the same clips over and over again.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah. Again, 4th-rated dual threat quarterback in the country out of Georgia.
Yeah.
MJ Morris. That would be a phenomenal get. I'm stating the obvious.
Yeah. Yeah. And going back to Burrell, there's something. I'm trying to see if I can find it. Going back to Burrell, you know, we heard a lot about him. I've heard too much about him to start tour of duty, saying he's been the most impressive wide receiver in the room right now. People are saying he's got the best hands in the whole wide receiver room. Let's see if I can pull this over here. Maybe. I don't know. Let's see. This is Burrell. I don't know if that's able to be seen. But this is Burrell over Knowles, the DB. If it'll load, Twitter's taking forever. Like they said, no, we heard about it, but now we get to see it. But best hands on the team. This looks trying to get confirmation if that's actually a catch, if he was able to hang on to it. But yeah.
Now that's a catch. That is that's Anquanish.
As I said, that's why I brought it up. I wasn't gonna bring it up until you said the Anquan thing. I was like, you know what? Let's look at this Burrell thing.
Let me tell you how Anquan used to end every Tuesday practice. Tuesday practice was our full pad, 11 on 11, and he's not gonna like me saying this. And I'm sure if he heard this, if anybody tells him that, like he's gonna dispute this. And I love Stanford Samuels Jr. to death. That's my guy. Little Boosie is what we called him. But it was like Anquan Boosie's trying to go up against him. Straight go route, over the shoulder, one hand grab in the end zone. It seemed like every Tuesday practice, that's how we ended it. Chris to Anquan. It was a cheat code. It was a built-in cheat code. If that team would have been healthy, and I love Chris too, but if we probably would have started Adrian McPherson in the beginning, that probably would have been one of the greatest FSU teams ever assembled, that 2002 team. Like it was so much talent. So many guys went to the NFL, and if PK Sam would have came back, or if PK Sam would have came back, if Anquan would have came back in 2003, we definitely win or play for the national championship. If PK comes back in 2004, we definitely compete for a national championship. It's just crazy how some of the teams that were considered bad, how close to being like elite they were. It's a no. But these guys aren't far off. I just think they gotta somehow figure out how to either go back and recreate the swag or just like don't take things personally, I guess, that old heads say, because I was there and I was in their shoes and I know exactly what they feel. I know exactly what it feels like, but I also understand now that I have kids what the old heads were doing, because this is what my son has to look forward to when he sees Florida State. He doesn't see the Florida State that I saw growing up in Tallahassee, where Florida State and FAMU were great. So like he's 7 now. So like 93 won a national championship. I was 10, I believe. No, I was 9. So I was 2 years older than what he is now. And through that, my adolescence was through 15 years of consecutive top 4 finishes. So like that's the Florida State that I know. And my son when he came out the womb, Florida State didn't lose a game for the first 2 years that he was alive. 2.5 years he was alive. Now it's you're seeing the slow decay and decline. So that's just really where it comes down to. But I think these guys, it's cool to talk to the media and it's cool to do all this other stuff. But when you wake up in the morning or when you take a shower, when you look in that mirror, you really know if you're that guy or if you're ready to do it. And I think that's what we got to start getting these guys to wake up in the morning, realize that they're badasses, and then go show it. and a little bit less talk about it, this show about it.
Mr. G14 Classified, John Sarian, some others. Appreciate you encouraging everyone to smash that like button. It means a whole lot, so we appreciate that. Also, the work we get here from Logan Robinson, Noel Game Day, and also Big Game James Coleman, of course, giving up their time each week. You can catch James on Fifth Quarter College Football, also the Sports Den. Just follow him on Twitter. What's the Twitter handle, James? I lose track of that since we've been following each other for so long.
Yeah. At Big Game James _36. Do not attempt to follow at Big Game James 36. I do not know who that gentleman was, but apparently he did something that was so bad that Twitter decided to like banish him for life. He's serving consecutive life sentences. I know some good people who try to, throw in some favor, try to get him, get his sentence commuted or part. I think they even petitioned to Trump to try to get him pardoned.
Well, he was the wrong person to petition to.
Then Trump got the death penalty. Got the death penalty on Twitter too, so it didn't work out. But yeah, Nola. If you want to see Nola advice, you want to see the greatest I-9 flag football team assembled of 7-year-olds. You'll see clips of that and all kind of stuff. But fifth quarter Inc. INC is another great follow to go check us out. We got a good Discord. We got a lot of good information on all college sports, on all college teams, all college sports, and we support, and I support every no medium that's out there. I might not agree with them all the time, but I think that one of the benefits that FSU fans have is that you can get so much great information out there. It's not a game. You don't have to say, I only click on this. I put for about $20 a month, you should be the most informed fan if you follow, if you go and you subscribe to, the other ones. The other ones do a really, really good job, but I say definitely subscribe to No Game Day. Definitely subscribe to Fifth Quarter. I do know that there is some really, really good information and great dialogue that goes on between both of those. And I know Fifth Quarter throws a hell of a tailgate for all games, but the spring game, if they still letting us outside, we got a good one coming.
I'm invited to that, right? Again, because we were supposed to run it up that one weekend, but everything was getting canceled and everything. But
of course, man.
I showed up and the feds were there. Showed up and the feds were there, and they were like, "We gotta get too many people in one spot." Like, come on now, I'm trying to enjoy a good time.
Yeah, man, we got food. We got all kinds of food. We got my man Freddie makes his ribs. He's gonna be there. My guy Shannon. We're gonna have 2 different types of ribs. We'll have lemon pepper wet wings. We'll have jambalaya. And if you're of age, now it's family friendly. Bring your kids if you want to. I don't have nothing to do with them, but there will be booze and there will be moonshine, and it looks like juice. If your child wanders into the moonshine, that's you being a bad parent. And if you keep them around me, I'm gonna give them a cigar. But but yeah, feel free to come hang out.
What's a red light district? I'm out of it. I feel like that's nothing good because Ronan's saying it. He doesn't have Jason here either to bash him, so I feel like I'm next to take the brunt. The red light district. That seems. I think I know what that is.
Well, you get the red tint to the room there.
Yeah.
I'm wondering what does that mean? Like red light, is that?
I don't think it means anything. I think he's playing off of the. You got other light districts that mean something, and he's going the red route because look at your room.
Oh, I see. Now I did a little Google search. Yeah. Hey, now if that's my future business, I mean, if I make it that way, I'm fine with it. I'll be all right with that.
Let's see. I better Google this myself here.
You didn't know? Yeah. I had a feeling that's what that was because that happens in Switzerland or
it's OnlyFans, but in real life.
Yeah, it's OnlyFans, but you go to bars. That's
okay. Okay.
See that?
Yeah,
right
red
there?
Light. Okay.
Little Google search.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'll take it. I won't turn that down.
Whatever pays the bills.
Hey, whatever it does,
Sure.
I'll be there.
All right, Logan. You got a good interview lined up tonight. Get people over there.
I'm excited. Thank you for always having us, Mark. James, I'm still going to figure out who's taking pictures of you out on the porch
HOA,
tonight.
the homeowners association, man. They hate me here, man. They always take the pictures and put me in whatever the neighborhood thing is, man. They're great though. They got good camera.
Yeah, they got a good camera, good lighting and everything. But like James just said, this is all family here. We work our tails off for giving coverage on both of our outlets. So we'll always stay family. So support all of us here. There's a lot of good sites that cover, and including Mark here that works his tail off with the Florida State coverage. This is, I think, like coverage wise for a college football team, it's not even close to other teams, in my opinion, in the country. So dip your feet in a couple other sites, but family right here between Fifth Quarter and Nole Game Day and Mark will always be real. So yeah,
beautiful. Love it. You wrapped it up nicely there, Logan. Next Wednesday, everyone, 6 p.m. Eastern time. In the meantime, lock it in here. I'll be back at 8 o'clock to take your calls. Call-in show tonight.
Sweet.
All right.
Sounds like a plan. James always dips quick.